Hello YouTube and welcome back to Cover 2 Credits. Today I will be reviewing one of my favorite books from one of my favorite authors, The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. I actually have a signed edition here. Woo-hoo. I don't know what I paid for this on eBay, but it was probably way too much. Boom. Now, this is sort of a children's book. I would put it for early teenagers. It's sort of written at a lower reading level. I would liken it to like Harry Potter. It's written around that age group, and it has a lot of similarities with Harry Potter, actually. Now, for those of you who don't know Sanderson, he does a lot of high fantasy, and he's really known for his magic systems. In every book, he comes up with a unique magic system that is always cool and always interesting. In this book, it is done with chalk. That is the magic. What people do is you take a piece of chalk, and depending on, you can draw animals that come to life. You can use a piece of chalk to draw a line on the ground that can stop bullets, and you can do it to do all kinds of interesting things. Now, the characters in it, the Rithmatics as they call it, is sort of a new art, and not everyone knows how it works. Even the people who use it don't know how it works. And that, unlike most books, that makes it extremely interesting, because the people who use these powers don't really know what they're doing or the things they're playing with or how it all works. They just sort of do it and it sort of happens, which is an interesting dynamic, especially as you read this book. Now, this book I would classify as a steampunk alternate history sort of, I don't know what it is, but it's really cool. One, it takes place in their equivalent of the United States, which they call the United Isles. Basically, America is made up of like 30 giant islands. This book takes place in Jamestown in, what do they call it? New Britannia. And it is a giant island that is pretty much completely metropolis. And the character takes place in it's a private academy there. There are spring contraptions, so it's very steampunkish, and it is an alternate history. It takes place in the 1920s, that region. There's already been, World War I has already happened, but Germany isn't really a thing. Actually, Japan pretty much rules the entire world. It's pretty much just the United Isles, and Japan has taken over all of Europe and Asia. They own all of it. That's just them. Because they make some interesting references to what they call Italian food, which is pasta and like water chestnuts and like soy sauce. So it's all like that, and he does a good job of staying consistent with it, and it's pretty interesting. As stated, this book, the main character is Joel, who is a student at a private academy in Jamestown. He is not particularly good at anything, as happens often in young adult books. The main male lead is sort of deadbeat. He's a genius, but he doesn't really do much. As I said, the academy caters to the Rithmatists, who can basically do magic with chalk. But he isn't a Rithmatist. He isn't even there for any good reason. It's a private academy. It's very, very rich kids, senators' sons, all of that, and he's Rithmatist. But he is the son of a cleaning lady, and he's only there because his mom works at the school and the principal gave him a free ride. So he is way out of his league in a lot of social situations, and again, that sort of leads him down the path that he eventually ends up taking. Second main character is Melody. She is a Rithmatist, although a terrible one. She is very, very, very bad at it. She doesn't understand how any of it works, but she can still make chalk drawings come to life through some inexplicable means that no one really understands. Again, she's pretty much terrible at it. Professor Fitch is a mainstay character. He is Melody and Joel's sort of teacher. He leads them while they're doing a summer class together, and he is taking over as things go along. Professor Nalazar plays the main antithesis of the series. He is basically just an ass, and he sort of has the red herring role through most of the book, where everyone thinks he's the ultimate bad guy. Is he not? Is he? No one really knows. And then there's Officer Harding, who is a member of the police force that comes up quite a bit. Now, as stated, the plot is Joel is a member of this academy, and what has happened is students have started going missing, and they don't find the students. All they find is usually arithmetic drawings at the scene of the crime and blood. That's pretty much all they found. So they have hired Professor Fitch to assist the police in figuring out what all these chalk drawings mean and what happened to these students. And it goes along, and Fitch, who is not a arithmetist but is super interested in arithmetics, even though he can't do them at all, gets assigned to help him out through some unfortunate circumstances. And as it goes along, Fitch and Melody start like having a thing, and then he's with Professor Fitch, even though he can't do arithmetics. He knows a ton about them because he's obsessed with them, and turns out to be extremely helpful in eventually cracking the case. And like I said, it's aimed more at younger children, so it's all sort of happy-feely, and there's not a whole lot of real drama that goes on. But like I said, I would liken it to the early novels in the Harry Potter series. It is extremely, extremely well done, though, and a great book. Now, plot, again, excellent, and I love the magic system. I love the world that he designs, and the writing is spot on in a lot of places. Sanderson isn't really as humorous as some of the other fantasy authors like Tad Williams or Jim Butcher, but he does get some decent humor in, and the worlds he builds are just amazing, and the same with this book. It is just an amazing, amazing world and an amazing, amazing book. Now, if I was to liken this to Harry Potter, which is the obvious conclusion because they're pretty much the same genre, they're written for the same age group, this book is probably better. It really is better. It's not as well known, obviously. It's an obscure author, and it is never going to be anything even remotely close to that. But this is a better book. It's just better in pretty much every way. I would give this book a 9 out of 10 at least. It is that good. Read it. I know a lot of you don't like steampunk, and it's like the nerd genre that is branched off of like 3 other nerd genres. It is like the ultra nerd book, but steampunk can be really bad and it can be really cool, and this does it really, really cool. If you like fantasy at all, read it. If you don't like fantasy at all, still read it. The fantasy is a big part of it, but this book can fly without it. As you all know, a good story and good characters transcend genre, and it could fly in any genre and be good, and it is that good of a book. So I recommend you all read it. Again, The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. Get out there, buy yourself a copy, and read it. If there's anything you guys want us to review, tell us in the comments, send us a message on Facebook. I will read it, I will review it. I read a ton of books, listen to a ton of books, and I will find time to fit yours in and give you guys a review. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for staying till after the credits.